Hey everyone, we're going to go ahead and get started with our part 4 of our putting together our Chaves County 4-H record book. So today we're actually going to talk about those project record forms that hopefully you have been working on, the project photos, and then I'm just going to show you the memorial awards also that you can apply for. So this is number 8 on your putting your Chaves County record book together worksheet or list. And this is worth 30 points. So collectively, your project record sheet and your photos are worth 30 points just on this section alone. So you just want to include the current year's project record sheet and 1 page of photos that pertains to that project. And so in this section, there's the record form, there's a project story, and then again, that 1 page of pictures on that project. So again, we're going to go to our Chaves County website, and underneath the My 4-H story, which we talked about yesterday, is the link to the project record forms. These record forms are also on your project CD that you get every year. And but if you lose that or whatever, they are on the website, or you can come by the office if you need us to print them as well. And some of your project books, they're also at the back. So when you click on that link, it's going to take you to another page on the NMSU website. And so there's the tip sheet for additional help and some examples on filling out your record forms. And then there are the 4 project areas. So there's the food project record form, which is going to be used for all food-based projects. So your baking, your nutrition, dairy, any cake decorating, all of those food-based projects are going to use that food project record sheet. I'm going to skip over general and go to the livestock animal project. So the livestock animal project record sheet is for, again, all livestock. So your cattle, your sheep, your goats, an animal, dog, cat, guinea pig, all of those birds, all the livestock animal projects are going to use the livestock animal project record sheet. So if it's not food and it's not livestock animal, then it's going to use the general project record sheet. So that's going to be your leathercraft, your welding, forestry, rocketry, all of those are going to use that general project record sheet. And then when you get into, your 3rd and 4th year and you start doing those self-determined projects, that's where you're going to use the self-determined project record sheet. But only those SD, those self-determined projects, you will use that self-determined project record sheet. And then shooting sports, so I should clarify, if it's not foods, livestock, self-determined, or shooting sports, you're going to use general. If it's a shooting sports, archery, muzzleloading, pistol, rifle, shotgun, those do have specific projects for each of those disciplines. So you're going to want to use those. And I always suggest when we do our shooting sports safety meetings that you guys print those off at the beginning of the year, because they do have places to record your practice scores. So you can see how you have hopefully gotten better on your accuracy in those projects by keeping those records. And so those are a little different. So you do want to look at those as well. Okay, so record forms page 1 through 5 are the same for all 4 record sheets. Okay, so we're going to look at those 1 through 5, and they are all the same. So the food one, the livestock one, the general, and self-determined, those are all the same. And you're going to put your name, your club, your county, and what project it is. So if it's baking 1, baking 2, etc., You're going to list that project there and then the years in the project. And then you're going to tell your goals. And again, this is why I say to print these out at the beginning of the year and kind of start filling them out, because this is your goals for the year. So what's your plan? What's your goal for doing this project? If you're waiting till the last minute to do your project, well, think back to the beginning of the year. What was your goal for this year? And then the second part on the first page is this year I learned. So this is looking, back. What have you accomplished? Did you accomplish your goals? What did you learn from participating in that project this year? So you want to write a couple sentences in each of these areas on what your goals were and then what you did learn. On the next record pages 2 through 4, they have you list descriptions of where these things happened. And so just so you know, the L is for local, so that's club, community, school, etc. Somewhere local in the that you worked on that. County is C, so county 4-H activities. Was it available to everybody, not just a specific group? District is district 4-H events. That includes several counties. So was it like district contest, or was it a regional livestock school, something like that? That's only usually a few counties. State is S, so events that the whole state can participate in. Youth getaway, SLR, state conference, those type of things. Regional events that involve several states, so like the Western Roundup in Denver, I believe, is just a few states, or a leaders forum or something like that. N is national, events that include most of the United States, and W, worldwide events. So just keep those in mind as we're filling out these next few pages. Okay, so talks and project meeting record form, which is page 2, and again, these are all the same on those 4 record sheets. So anytime you have given an unprepared talk or competed in a contest related to your project area, this is where you're going to list it. Some contest examples include favorite foods, entomology, livestock, archery, barrel racing, etc. And you don't want to list your demonstrations here. There's another spot for that. So if you're giving a contest talk, that's where this is going, or where you're going to put that you gave a talk in that area. And again, here's that level, and you're going to say, did you give it at county? Did you give it at district, at state? And then where you gave it also. Then the bottom half is where you're going to list your scheduled project meetings or workshops held with project leaders. So this isn't anytime you worked on it at home, but this is when we had a scheduled practice or workshop or meeting at the extension office or at the fairgrounds or wherever with a project leader that it was announced in the newsletter. That's where you're going to list that you met and what you did. So did you sew together 5 blocks of your quilt? Things like that. That is where you're going to list those activities that you did or meetings that you had for your project. So page 3 is demonstrations and exhibits record form. So this top part, this is where you're going to put if you gave a demonstration related to your project. So this could be to your club or public speaking or a demonstration contest at county contest. But this is where that demonstration talk is going to go. Or if you give a demonstration at your club and then I'm like, hey, that's a really good demonstration. Will you give it for county council? And you give that talk again, then you can list that here a second time. And then the bottom half is where you list the projects you exhibited for this project. So this can be inside or livestock. So if you showed a beef steer and you also did a poster, you're going to list those separately, that at county fair you exhibited a market steer and it was at county fair. and then maybe you also showed it at State Fair or at a jackpot or at Eastern Fair, you're going to list that here as well. And then that poster, you know, it placed first, and so it went on to State Fair, so you're going to list that as well. And then it came back and it was exhibited at State Fair or at Eastern Fair, and so you're going to list that as well as here. So anytime that you exhibited anything for that project, you're going to list it here in the project or you exhibited a project and where you exhibited it. Okay, so then page 4, other project activities record form. This is where you're going to list any other activities, workshops, camps you have participated in associated with this project, not already listed on any other pages. So you can list individual work sessions. If you went to home ec school and you participated in the jewelry section and you worked on your project, you can list that, and that would be a state level that you worked on that project. Or if you went to a camp, so like youth getaway, and you attended one of the workshops, this is where you would list that you worked on that project. Page 5 is the project story record form. So you want to write your story explaining your project experience for this year. So it's kind of similar to the My 4-H story, where you want to have that introduction, body, and conclusion. But the main difference is that this is just on this project. So we want to hear your failures, your accomplishments, your struggles, and how you did, you know, put all of that into sentence form, and what your goals were and what your future plans are for that project in this story. And I forgot to mention yesterday when we talked about the My 4-H story, but that's a really good place to talk about, like, especially this year, how COVID has affected being able to do your projects. So there could be a whole paragraph probably in your My 4-H story about how you weren't able to go to club meetings, how you didn't get to go to project workshops, and things like that. Well, here is another opportunity for you to record this probably memorable year that we have had of COVID, and tell your experiences and what you've experienced during this time. And so later in life, hopefully you keep these for a while and you read back on that, you can share with others your experience during this year of COVID. And at the end, you just need to make sure that you sign and date your project story before putting it in your book. Okay, so here's where it gets, starting with page 6, it kind of gets a little different on some of the record sheets. So for the food, the general, and the self-determined, we have our financial record form. And so the main part of this, or part of the record book, is maintaining your finances and learning how to see how much you spend and how much you're getting, and to make sure that they're balanced, or at least you're not spending too much money on all of your projects. So you're going to start with your opening inventory up here. And so these are any items that you owned at the beginning of your project. So October 1 is our new year, and what did you own at the beginning of that year? So if it's a sewing machine, baking sheets, shooting sports equipment, you know, anything like that that you have on hand that you're going to be using for that project, go ahead and list that here. And you need to put an estimated value. So if you, my suggestion is, if you were to sell that item, what would it be worth? What would you sell it for? And put that as the value. And you can easily do a Google search and kind of get an estimated value of what things cost. Okay, and so you're going to total that up, and that'll be your total opening inventory. Your financial summary is anything that you purchased or sold during the year. So add any of those expenses or incomes throughout the year. And that could be fair premiums. So any money that you get for inside exhibits, or if you, well, this, we're going to talk about livestock in a minute, but or if you, we're making posters and you purchased poster board, that's going to be an expense. So you're going to list that here as well. So you're going to total those up, expense and income. And then in your closing inventory, you're going to make sure that if you had it in your opening inventory and you continue to have it throughout the year and at the end of the year, then it should be in your closing inventory. And you also want to include your finished project. So like quilting, you spent a lot of time and material and effort in making that quilt. That's worth something. And so you're going to put whatever, a 5-patch quilt or whatever, and then what would you sell it for? Take into consideration the supplies that went into it plus your time, and put that value on that project. Same thing with woodworking or welding or leather craft. Any of those projects, if it has it should be worth something. So you're going to put a value of what you would sell it for in that closing inventory and be reasonable. Okay, so you have your opening inventory, your financials, and your closing inventory. And you want to make sure that you double check your math, because that is something that's looked at when your record books are judged. So page 7, page 7 is a little different in the food record form. And so this actually gives you an opportunity to, every time you're practicing those baking items or those food items. So every time you bake a batch of biscuits, you're going to write that in your food form and say, okay, I made biscuits, and you can date it, and they were good. Okay, and then you can write next to it, I think my picture's probably in the way, but it says ways to improve. And so maybe you left them in the oven just a little too long, so you need to take them out earlier, and that's how you're going to approve them for the next time. And so every time you make a different product, you're going to list that in your food record sheet, so you can hopefully show an improvement there. Okay, so then we're back to page six, but this one is for the livestock financials. So they're slightly different. Again, we have that opening inventory where you're going to put anything that you owned at the beginning of the year. So water and feed buckets, panels, if you have breeding animals and those you had at the beginning of the year, you're going to include that. And again, you're going to estimate that value. And then in closing inventory, again, you're going to do the same thing. Anything that you still have that was in your opening, or anything that you purchased in between, should be in your closing inventory. Just remember, once it's used, it's going to be worth less than a new item. But again, that's where that, if you were to sell it today, how much would it be worth? Okay, and you're going to add those up. And then page 7 of the livestock financial form is where you're going to calculate your income and expenses. And this is where you include your feed, your medication, your vet bills. All of that would go under your expense category. And what they do is your opening inventory amount. So you're going to take that from page 6 and you're going to put that in here as an expense. And then you will list all of your, again, all of your expenses. And here you can actually determine how much it cost per pound of feed that you fed, and list that here. So you actually know like your rate of gain and things like that can be calculated here as well. And then also any income from jackpots or prize money or sale money or anything like that, that's going to be put in your income. And then if you have any rent or interest, you can put that in this box here. Your closing inventory, the total from your closing inventory, is going to be listed as income. right here. So then you total up all of your expenses and put those in this box here. Total up all of your income, and that'll be in this box here. And then you're going to subtract those expenses from your income, and hopefully that it's not negative. So you hopefully have more income than what you had of expenses, but that'll tell you how much, or you'll be really able to see how much that project is costing you, or how much you're gaining from that project. And again, you want to double check your math, because you want to make sure that it is listed correctly. The livestock has a monthly activities record form on page 8, and this is where you're going to keep track of if you had an animal that was sick and you had to give it maybe some antibiotics. You're going to list that. If you changed some rations on your feed, this helps you keep your records on what you did, and so maybe you can remember next year, oh, you know what, we used this type of feed, we really liked it, so let's get that again. When you vaccinated, your birth dates, this is for your rabbits and poultry and stuff too. So if you, and your breeding dates, so you have your breeding dates listed of when you bred your rabbits, when your rabbits were born, what you have a death loss, anything that happened throughout the months, you're going to list that here so you can actually look back on that next year if you need to. Okay, so those are the record forms. And then we move into project photos. So for every project record sheet, you get 1 page of project-specific photos. And you can also include like newspaper or newsletter clippings, but my suggestion with that is to take a picture of that and include that on this page, because you just get 1 page, single-sided, not front and back, just on the front. And you want to use the same guidelines that we used for the general photos. So you could use 3 pages of general photos behind the photos divider, and then for each project behind each record sheet, you can have 1 project picture page. And so you don't want to include any ribbons or placing cards or news articles or anything like that. So my example here, because I didn't actually have any pictures of that would work, but you can kind of see. So I started with, working on your project at home. You have a picture, and of course you're going to give it a caption and it could be as simple as working on my rocketry project at home. And then maybe there was a rocketry workshop, and so you have a picture here of you working on it there. You have a picture of your finished product, or maybe you worked on it multiple times and there's different steps. This is just an example. But again, you're going to caption every picture and tell a story. And then maybe if you have some extra room, you can actually take a picture of your project displayed at fair, or you showing your animal or whatever, and put a picture of that as well. So, and this could be, feeding your lambs, or teaching them to walk, or leading your steer. There's a lot of ways that you can put different pictures you can choose to put on here, but they need to be project specific. So if this is following your market steer project, then these pictures should be just of your market steer. And then if you are doing the rocketry project, then these pictures should be just of your rocketry project. You can use, if you're going to do the crop and mount method, I suggest using a colored paper or cardstock to mount your pictures on, and again putting them in that sheet protector, just because it's a nice divider between each project. And so that's why I say here the project pictures page kind of serves as your divider between your projects. So you have your record sheet, then you have your projects photos, and then you have the next record sheet, and then those photos. And so it makes it nice and easy to flip through your record book and be able to distinguish where one project ends and one project begins. All right. That is the record book forms and the project photos. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. You can come by the office, schedule a time to come by, call or email. And I'm going to go ahead and switch to the Memorial Award. So I don't have a slideshow for that, but I wanted to show you on our website. So again, you go to the county website, go to the record book forms page, and then here, record book scholarship applications. And if you click on those, these are not fillable forms. You have to actually print them and handwrite these to fill in these awards. So this one's the Chris Hershey Swine Memorial. So it's for someone that was in the swine project. And most of them have similar questions. So again, you'll fill out your name, age, 4-H club. This one asks, what achievements have you made on your 4-H swine project this year? What leadership roles have you taken in the 4-H swine project? List other 4-H projects completed and awards received. List other 4-H activities, list other club activities or hobbies you are active in, and then describe what you have learned and why you enjoy the swine project. So that one is just the swine, the Chris Hershey Swine Memorial. With this award, you get a plaque and a buckle and your name on our wall of memorial awards here in the office. And so I really encourage you guys to look at these memorial awards. There's the Flaxie Mitchell Horse Scholarship Award, the Jewel Leemacher Clothing Award, Patrick Pirtle Dairy, and Sam Bradley is Sheep. And what you do is once you have those forms filled out, you just put those, staple them together, or if it's front and back, whatever. You just slide that on the inside, like of your record book, just in the front cover, and submit that. And then we have those judged, and then we award them at the awards program. So I just wanted to do a little plug for those. And if you have any questions, again, just let me know. I will stop share. I don't have any comments or questions, but please feel free to call the office or come by, and we hope to see a record book turned in from you this year. So thank you. Have a great day. Bye.